Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to another episode of Beautiful, I Am Colored. My name is Evelyn, and this is the place where I share insights and perspectives from my previous week with you, with the hope of bringing healing to you, the listener, as well as increased hope in this life we are living. Today's topic is titled, Hold the Line. Allow me to share a few definitions with you. Dictionary.com says the definition of hold the line is to not yield to the pressure of a difficult situation. Collins Dictionary had two definitions that I really like. The first one is to stand firm, not permit a breakthrough or retreat. To maintain the status quo, especially in order to forestall unfavorable developments. And then Quora.com, which is a shared platform, says hold the line means to maintain your defenses. Do not fall back. Do not let the enemy get past you. You'll see why this is relevant in a moment. But this phrase, hold the line, was percolating in my mind towards the beginning of the week. And at work this week, one of my colleagues actually mentioned this phrase, hold the line, when we were having a meeting. And I think for the times that we're in, holding the line, based on all the definitions that I shared from their various sources a few moments ago, is very applicable. I'll cascade into that in a moment. But first, as usual, we like to start every podcast with a moment of gratitude with a segment I call shout outs and thank yous. And this is a moment where I thank a person, place, thing, or idea that I'm grateful for from my previous week. This week, the shout out and thank you goes to several things. Okay. The first one is, so I don't know if y'all know this, but I order online a lot. Like, I typically don't go to the malls. Like, I do like to shop, but I like to do intentional shopping, meaning I'm not a window browser. If I don't have money, I don't like teasers. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to the mall and look at stuff that I can't get, can't afford, all that. So I typically shop online and get the stuff delivered to the house just because it's just much more convenient for the time and space that I am in my life. So this one company that I shop online, Zara, some of you may be familiar with. I want to send a shout out and thank you to this specific item that I purchased. They have some shapewear line that honestly, ladies, when I took it out the box, I looked at that little thing and I said, there's no way that this body was getting into that slimming jumpsuit because it was real tiny. But to my amazement, this thing has some magical stretch. I don't know where they come up with these ideas and this stretching fabric and stuff, but I just want to say thank you. It had sis feeling good over here. Do you understand? Like, I put that little bodysuit on and had a sweater on, was walking around the house. And Marlon was like, I kind of like these little jumpsuits you've been buying and stuff. I'm like, oh, thanks, babe. So yeah, shout out to Zara for these little slimming jumpsuits. Change your lives. The next shout out and thank you goes to, and I be shouting out my trainer every week, you understand? Because she be putting it to me, okay? Yesterday, I worked out with her. Today is Sunday. I'm recording right before 12 today. Usually it's earlier, but it's neither here nor there. And yesterday, on Saturday, I worked out with Claudia, and she put it to me again. I had to do squats and all kinds of stuff. And if you don't know what a HIIT meal is, you need to find out, because your girl be on the HIIT meal, okay? And she be jogging for 30 seconds without stopping on the HIIT meal, with my arms on the bars in front of me. Again, if you don't know what the HIIT meal is, you need to just Google it or go to YouTube and they'll show you a whole picture of the HIIT meal. But it is not for the weak or timid. And so in my workout today, Sundays I try to designate, if I'm not working out with Claudia, I try to designate to doing like a long distance run, because y'all know I had shared with you all that I'm gonna be doing the Boulder, which is a 10K at the end of May. Well, child, I went to one of the parks today and worked out outside because we had some snow. Yes, you heard it right. We had some snow yesterday. And today is sunny and it's going to be 60. So, of course, the park was packed. Okay, so I get to the park and, the first 2 miles was kind of rough, to be honest with you, because my legs was feeling heavy from the workout yesterday. Then I started to, get into it. And so at the end of 5 miles, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just try this hill. It's a grassy hill that I be seeing people do sprints on. But I've never done the sprints, clearly. But today I said, why not? Okay. So I said, okay, I'm finishing up my 5 miles because I was trying to get to 6 miles total today. So I was like, let me just go ahead and do this and see, this could be my finisher for today. So I got my mind right and I was at the bottom of the hill and I put on a hype song on my playlist, and your girl sprinted up the hill and walked down like it was nothing. Do you hear me? Sprinted up the hill and walked down like it was nothing. Now, let's keep in mind, I am not a world-class athlete and I don't have an athletic body yet. I'm working on my body and she is coming together all the way. But when I tell you that did something for me, to try something and to achieve it, I was just like, listen. So shout out to my workout today. And the last person, I know it's a lot of shout outs and thank yous today, but that's okay. A lot to be grateful for. The last shout out and thank you goes to Miss Kimberly Orr. And I usually don't share last names on this platform, but it's public, so I feel comfortable with sharing her last name here. She is, I believe this is her current role, the executive director of the C Club, which is an alumni club at the University of Colorado at Boulder. So this past week was alumni weekend, if you will, and a lot of events. And man, to pull off any type of event is always a feat. The planning is like the most time-consuming thing in the world, which is why I don't like to plan events. But I believe in paying people for the services they're good at. But that's neither here nor there. They did such a phenomenal job with organizing and recognizing the different players from the football team from like decades, from like people who played from the 50s all the way up to present date. And so they did their team such a remarkable job. And so I just want to say thank you so much. Additionally, it felt so good and has been feeling so good to revisit Boulder with Coach Prime being in town now. And honestly, having a different kind of sense of confidence that I didn't possess almost 30 years ago when we first lived there. If you've listened to this podcast for any time now, then you'll know the first few years of our marriage, by Marlon and I, our marriage was not easy. In fact, it was filled with some challenges, and the setting was in Boulder, Colorado for the first few years of those challenging times. And so it just felt so good to go back and just have my head held high, my crown straightened, my back straight. You understand what I'm saying? Walking tall and proud. And I just had a great time. And thank you to my husband for inviting me and being his plus one. I had a great time. And yes, that completes this week's shout outs and thank yous. So thank you, Zara, Kimberly, my workout, Claudia. And I hope you all are taking care of yourselves, health and fitness wise. It's never too late to start. So start today. Okay, it is time for us to get into our topic for today, which is hold the line. I'll be right back. So as I was thinking about this topic of holding the line, I was thinking about when we go through challenging seasons, none of us are void of going through something. I certainly am not, and you all know that by now with me sharing so much of my life with you on this podcast. And then lately too, just between work, between relationships, between changing times, I've just noticed that there's always this underlying pressure when you are about to go through another season. And when pressure becomes perceivably insurmountable, like you cannot withstand it any longer, these are the moments where you must hold the line. Recall that at the beginning of this podcast today, I shared with you some definitions of it. And one of my favorites was from the Collins definition, which is holding the line in order to forestall unfavorable developments. Sometimes when you succumb to peer pressure, this could be peer pressure too, and that's what I'm feeling rise up in me today. When you succumb to the pressures, peer pressure, pressure in your finances, pressure on your job, pressure with your kids, pressure with your spouse, etc. It is very, 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 very important sometimes when you don't know what to do to hold the line. But in order to hold the line, right, and even if we're talking about it in like football terms, right, to maintain your defense, right, you got to be strong in order to fortify and hold the line, meaning everybody on the team has to have done their work in order to link up, to put this block up in order to prevent the other side from doing something that would be detrimental to your team. And I was thinking about this because sometimes it becomes challenging to be the only one in certain spaces. I find myself to be the only Black woman in a lot of spaces. And there's a certain level of pressure that comes with that, that I'm here for. Quite frankly, I know that I am built for the time and season that I'm in right now. There's also pressures that come that have to do with health and well-being, mental health included. And I can say that from experience because I have a family member who is going through that right now, who I'm working very closely with to walk through that season of their life. And when I say hold the line, when I think about the tools and the resources, the people that I'm linked up with, all of it matters. All of it matters. Because when pressure hits, you want to be able to turn to people you can find strength in, people who can remind you what it's about. You know, something else kicks in, kind of similar to when I was telling you about my workout today, how at the end of the 5 miles, I was like, let me just make up in my mind right now to do this. Something has to kick in. Something has to kick in. And this something I call God, I call the spirit in me. You may call it something else. But this something must have been fed prior to getting to this point where the pressure is so that you can be able to hold the line. What do you mean, Evelyn? Here's what I mean. I've shared this with you before. There has to be something that you're doing to prepare for when pressure comes. Whether that's something physical, like lifting weights, quite literally going to the gym, working out, or rather that's spiritual. Like for me, you guys know that music is an avenue or my channel where I connect to source to get my strength from. And I have to do that on a consistent basis. Another thing for me is spending time by myself. I require a lot of time by myself in order that I can present who I need to present as for other people. I know that. That's part of my purpose. For you, that could be something and completely, totally different. But that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is that you have to find out what that is, and you have to fine tune that, and you have to stay on that all the time in order to be prepared. And if you don't, when the pressure comes, and I can assure you, the pressure will come for all of us. It always does. That's called life. The pressures will come. Some of it will be greater than others. Some will feel like you will not, when you're in those seasons, it'll feel like you can't get out of it. But these are the moments, and I can just tell you from experience, that are shaping you and making you into the person who you are becoming. I am not saying that it's not going to be difficult or hard, but what I am saying is that if you're doing your work, your meditation, your prayers, your attitude of gratitude, you showing up when you know you need to show up in spaces, you being who you were created to be, in your purpose, in your walk. If you are not doing all of the things to prepare you for that, the chances of you surviving the pressure when it comes is sketchy, right? You may or you may not. But meaning you may or you may not be able to bounce back from it, and or you may not be able to take it. But for some reason, it's heavy on my heart, and I don't know if it's because there's something on the horizon that's coming up, or if it's something that somebody is going through right now. I'm not quite sure, but here's what I know, is that do everything in your power to hold the line. Do everything in your power to assess who are you linked up with. Imagine a strong line of people with arms linked. And you guys are, you're preparing for something to hit you. And so that strength has to be like strong. It has to be like firm. Who are you linked up with that is allowing you to be strong and allowing you to be firm and allowing you to be built up and to be ready for whatever comes your way? Who are you linked up with? It's just a question. It's one that I'm asking myself because it's vitally important for where we're headed in this world. And especially here in this country. Who are you telling your most confidential things to? Are they holding it? Are they trustworthy? All of these things, which may seem insignificant at first, are critical when it comes to moments of pressure. I don't know about you, but I don't care how small the number is. And it's so funny. Let me pivot just a little bit. It's so funny. I was just talking to some friends yesterday and we were talking about, or I was sharing with them that I don't have a circle here. Like, I know a lot of people here in the Denver metro area, no doubt about it. And I acknowledge that. But as far as my circle, I don't have a circle. I really don't. I have like Marlon. But as far as sharing intimate details and sharing life with to the depths, I don't have that. And I really desire that, but it matters who that person is. So let me go back to connect this thought. So what I'm saying, it doesn't matter, right now, if it's small or if it's little. Don't count it out just because it's small or it's little, because it's the quality of a thing that matters, not necessarily the quantity. And so all the things that I share with you each week, I am also applying to myself. And I am just being pushed in a way right now that is in uncharted territory. And so uncharted territory requires me to, in some instances, and frankly, a lot of instances lately, hold the line of what I know to be true. To decide to not yield to the pressure of difficult situations. To tap in and know that I do have the power inside of me and the answers inside of me, and the ones that aren't inside of me, they can come to me because I've done the work to draw those answers to me. And so my hope for you this week and every week is that you are doing the work that it is for you to be the person who you have been called to be, to walk into the purpose that you have been called to do, as I am walking into the purpose that I have been called to do. Part of that being this podcast, of course. And the pause there was just me listening. You know that I try to listen for the voice that guides me on this podcast, because as you know, it's not scripted. It's all being led. I do a little bit of research, but it's important to me to give the message as it is unfolding and delivered to me so that you can be able to hear. And yes, okay. That is all that I have within me to give for this week. But I do hope and pray that you have found some sense of something that I've said, a piece, to provide hope and healing to you and yours. I look forward to hearing from you in the future, and I look forward to sharing with you next week. In the meantime, remember, the future you is waiting on you. And so are other people. So I hope you have a great week. For those of us who are working this week, let's go and have a blessed and prosperous week. And yes, that means stay-at-home parents as well, because you work as twice as hard as some of us. And I know, because I was one for a while. So shout out to all of you who are in that season of life. May God provide you with strength and endurance in that season. Until the next time, have a great week, everyone.